Moving on to our last storyline in the Eastern Conference to finish the stretch of the season, can the Miami Heat and the Atlanta Hawks make it out to play in? They're right there in 7th and 8th in the Eastern Conference, only a couple games back behind Brooklyn and New York. And it's just looking at these two teams who have been struggling all season, kind of sort of putting it together. Miami has been able to stay together and figure it out and get through, grind out slowly. And you just think of Heat culture, how they're just always going to be able to make the playoffs and be able to be there. But their offenses nearly did last in the league. I think they're 27th in offensive rating and stuff like that. And it's just like, that's not good enough in the league. And they knock down enough shots. That's why they brought in Kevin Love. And just wondering where the offense is going to come to. Even though they have three guys that are getting 20 points in Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and Tyler Hero, the rest of the team, they're trying to figure it out. They have Caleb Martin and Victor Oladipo, who's been able to chip in there with 10 points apiece. But you're just really looking at this team that's like, where's this offense going to come from? And it's just like, well, Kyle Lowry is supposed to help with that, with distributing and playmaking and toughness. And he hasn't really been able to get it going for Miami so far this season. Despite that, of course, Miami's going to grind it out and be tough with Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo on the defensive end. I think they're 4th in defensive rating. And you're looking at how those guys are playing this year. They're playing fantastic, but it's just the rest of the team. Can they get it going? Duncan Robinson has fell off tremendously. They're trying to find this three-point shooting, trying to find a spark to their offense so far to start the season, and just have not been able to find it. But you're hoping with the addition with Kevin Love, he's a stretch four that can play on the front line with Bam and Jimmy, and you're seeing how he can fit with them in terms of on the boards and stretching the 4-4 threes. Gives them a different dynamic that they haven't had really so far this season, and we'll see what happens with that. Moving on to the Atlanta Hawks, who have changed coaches, have gotten rid of Nate McMillan. There was some friction there between him and Trae Young and how the offense was going. After Nate McMillan was gone, the Hawks started winning a little bit. Their offense has gotten better. They added Sadiq Bey at the trade deadline, who I think was just needed to help them really shoot the ball there. They haven't been shooting the ball this year really well from three. So to get Sadiq Bey, who has history of being a really knockdown shooter and really knocking things down for them, that was a good addition for them, and see if that helps them move out of the play-in. I believe it was somewhere where the GM or owner or something like that for the Atlanta Hawks was like, we should be better than our record right now. And I believe that as well. You have Trae Young and Javonte Murray. There should be something brewing there, even though those guys are playing well, even though Trae Young started off slow shooting the ball. Those guys are both averaging 20-plus points a game, both averaging between the both of them 16 assists together between them. So you're like, okay, you're getting the scoring and productivity. What's happening with this team? They're not a really good defensive team, which is the issue right now. Trae Young's not going to be a defensive guy. DeAndre Hunter, who has been solid so far this season. You're just wondering what's going on with Atlanta, and bringing in Quinn Snyder, who had really good offenses in the Utah, developing with Rudy Gobert, Donovan Mitchell, and having three-point shooting. They really got the three-point shooting up. So to add him to this team right now to see if they can upgrade that offense could be interesting to see how that plays out. But you're just wondering if Miami and Atlanta have enough to sit there and get out of the play-in and set them up for a situation where they don't have to play a game early on. They can wait to see their opponent and know who they're facing going into the playoffs. Two teams in opposite different directions here. Obviously, Atlanta's offense is getting better, but their defense is poor. And now we look at Miami, whose defense is awesome, but their offense is poor. You're just wondering what's the answer for these two teams moving forward. Is there a pathway that they could use to become better and improve their playoff odds there? And getting a lot of tough play out of these guys, but it's just like, is that going to be enough for both these teams right now, who seem to be trying to figure out their destination here in terms of the playoffs? As we wind down for the rest of the season, it's just going to be interesting down the stretch to see what teams do. Brooklyn has been a thorn in my side, especially as a Celtics fan after Mikal Bridges' 38-point performance the other night here. You're just looking around. Toronto's going to be tough. Of course, adding Jakob Poeltl. We'll see if that can improve their team. That's another team that's in the conversation to see if they can play out of the play-in. It's like they should be better than their record, I believe. The Washington Wizards in Chicago, we're just trying to figure out what are they going to do. I don't know what they're going to do there, but that will do it for this part of the Eastern Conference, top 5 storylines in the Eastern Conference. those are my 5. Of course, I had the 1 seed with the Boston Celtics, the New York Knicks being good. Can Philly take the next step with their progress? Did Cleveland take a step back, and can Miami and Atlanta work their way out of the play-in and get to a solid standing spot in the Eastern Conference? We'll see. We'll see what they're able to do.